What is immigration? What is non-immigration? US is shutting down the door for international students. What is the behind that? How much scholarship you have offered to the international students?
Imagine that we've got 120 plus universities in the portfolio. Across every one of those universities, we've negotiated the ability for students to get financial aid, scholarships, discounts, grants. Now, it's complicated because different universities call it different things, right?
Yes.
And how you get it is complicated and how you apply for it. But what we've tried to do is say, if you come through Shorelight, not only will you get a signature expedited experience.
Shorelight students have access to special courses that help prepare students for the American academic experience. So critical thinking skills,
Okay.
working in pairs and partnerships and participating, speaking in class, participating in the classroom.
Basil Cleveland, he's a co-founder of Shorelight, and Pamela, she's the COO of Shorelight. And today we are going to discuss lots and lots of things about the US university, maybe a US economy, and how and what is going to happen in Trump 2.0. So first question currently all Indian students have in their mind about what is immigration, what is non-immigration, because currently we have seen in Trump 2.2, they are sending lots of students, not lots of students, but lots of people back to India or maybe illegal immigrant, right? So what is the difference between illegal immigrant and the genuine immigrant?
So I think if we take any lessons from the first time Trump was president, we should take away two things. One, there's always a lot of chaos right at the beginning.
Yes.
He's an agent of chaos, but he's a fan of higher education in the U.S., and he stands pretty firmly, from what we gather, on bringing the best and the brightest to the U.S. to study. So I think from a student perspective, these are going to be good times. Yeah, it'll take a while for that to happen. I think, we're a little bit in a shock and awe period right now as we make an adjustment going from the Biden administration to the Trump administration. But I would expect for the vast majority of students, you will be not just welcomed, but eagerly anticipated coming in. Am I missing anything?
No, I would just add that international students and students from India are non-immigrant intenders.
Yes.
So so they're uniquely different from an illegal immigrant or an immigrant intender. International students are coming to the U.S., you're coming to study, get your degree, perhaps do some post-degree work, and returning home. And that is the best kind of traveler to the U.S., highly valuable to the American government, U.S. institutions, and uniquely different. So any attempts to stop illegal immigration should be separate from
Separately, yes. Completely separate. Yeah, as a students and parents, you don't have to worry about anything because you are a non-immigrant. That means you are going on the F1 student visa, and there is a immigration, and the illegal immigration is very different than the student visa. And right now they are sending illegal immigrant, not a student. So don't worry about it. So can you give any insight to parents and students who are watching this reel, like why they should pursue their master or bachelor degree in US?
Sure. Well, I'll speak for myself, and I'm keen to hear Pamela's answer on this one. I think the U.S. is the greatest exporter of two different things. One, innovation. I think the number one thing we build is the capacity to take people and help them become innovative. And two, and this is related to innovation, be entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
To think differently about how to start a business, how to grow. If my daughter who's 14, if we didn't live in the U.S., I would absolutely send her to the U.S. to study on a graduate program because I would want her to pick up both of those skills, how to be innovative, how to be entrepreneurial. And you don't get that in equal measure in every degree, and you don't get that in equal measure at every university. But we've been pretty careful to pick universities in our portfolio, which is the largest portfolio by far in the U.S. And that portfolio includes thousands of degree programs that are designed to make students successful, to give them a career plan, to give them opportunities they wouldn't otherwise have. So come to the U.S. because when you come back to your home country, the chances of you being successful, of having that entrepreneurial spirit are so much greater. You will pick that up living in the U.S., not just in class, but from the people you study with. Being in America is being in this kind of, I don't know, it's like a boiling water. You can feel the energy when you're there in terms of I'm transforming into a person who can build and lead a business.
Wow, that's a good piece of advice for all the students in Paris. How about you, Pamela?
That's right. I agree with that. The international student experience in the States is so exciting. It really prepares students for outcomes and employment opportunities. And there's a real focus there. So even if an international student might be returning home after their studies, they're learning a lot about possible careers and getting a lot of experience, particularly if they participate in internship programs like Shorelight offers. It's highly valuable to get some work experience, even if it's not your dream job, just to really start preparing for student outcomes. And I think that's a bit unique to the United States in terms of preparing students for
Wow. Now I have a question for you, Basil. Like, what is Shorelight and what Shorelight do for international student as well as for agent like us?
Yeah, sure. I think about Shorelight as a bridge between the agency side of the world and the university side, where we've gone in and we've hand-selected these universities. And more than that, we haven't just signed them up. We have competitors in our space like everyone else, but mostly they just signed up universities to a platform. We're not a platform company like that. What we do is go in and negotiate with the university across turnaround times, admission standards, student support levels, how to provide the right insurance, the right kind of housing, how to provide discounts for students, financial aid. We have 65 points of analysis that we bring into these conversations. And if you sign up with Shorelight, you're promising a level of service that students wouldn't otherwise get. If you look back over the decade that we've been in business, one of the many reasons we're so successful as a company and why we have frankly grown so large in the US is that we're not just saying, hey, get on the platform, let's see what happens. Maybe you'll get some students, maybe you won't. What we're really saying is, if you want to be represented and if you want to grow, and if you want us to go represent you in 183 countries, you need to do the following things. Service students and build retention resources in a way that empowers those students to get a job. And if you don't do those things, then we're not going to be able to represent you. Now, not every university can do everything. Some of them are smaller than others, but the ones that are successful with us make these huge commitments to providing that level of support. University of the Pacific, University of Utah, Auburn University, University of Massachusetts, Boston. I mean, they're just so deeply committed, and you can see the retention numbers, the student satisfaction, and that's a partnership between us and the university. So it's not just, here's a school, we make it the application easy. We make you successful. Applying is the easy part.
Right. That's less IT. And what other product you have? Like maybe you are helping them in the visa interview. Maybe you are helping them for the jobs or something like that. Are you introducing this kind of product in the future?
For sure, but let Pamela address.
Absolutely. I mean, as the international student success company, Shorelight's obsessed, as you are, with student outcomes, right? To Basil's point, it's more than just getting the student admitted to the US. It's getting the visa. It's getting the I-20, then it's getting the visa. It's arriving, having a soft landing with everything taken care of for the student. So it's a very easy transition. And all of Shorelight partners are really focused on those areas as well. So we'll offer, airport transfer services. We'll offer internship programs, even ongoing support for immigration purposes. So in addition to the visa support, there are many questions students might have about how to file taxes or how to change their status or how to get an internship or post-degree work experience. And Shorelight has services that help students with the entire journey. Yeah. And the most important thing to me, to Basil, and to you, of course, is student success. We want graduates. Yeah. It's more than just getting the admission offer. It's getting the degree and finding your dream job after.
Wow, that's a great advice. I think Shorelight is doing amazing thing right now because they are changing the life of lots and lots of India students, because we are sending students through Shorelight and they are very successful right now and they are working in the top multinational company. I think you are doing a very good job in India, I can say, and you are getting lots of blessings from the parents as well as from the students because you are creating their careers, right, by placing them at the good university, and also you are offering lots of scholarship. So I would like to have a question on the scholarship. Like, so far, how much scholarship you have offered to the international students? It's just a range of the numbers.
This one's difficult to talk about in terms of dollar amount. So I'm going to talk about percentage.
Percentage, yes.
It'll be a little bit easier.
Yeah.
So imagine that we've got 120 plus universities in the portfolio. Across every one of those universities, we've negotiated the ability for students to get financial aid, scholarships, discounts, grants. Now, it's complicated because different universities call it different things, right?
Yes.
And how you get it is complicated and how you apply for it. But what we've tried to do is say, if you come through Shorelight, not only will you get a signature expedited experience, not only are we going to help you with the visa side, the application side, and the campus arrival experience, but we're actually going to negotiate on your behalf for the best possible tuition discount that you can get. Now, in many cases, coming back to percentages, in many cases, that's in excess of 20% off discounts. In some cases, it's as high as 60% at the undergraduate level, and at the graduate level, as high as 33%. It depends on the school and the program. If you want to go into a top-ranked, very exclusive computer science program in, yeah, you're not going to get a significant discount.
Yeah.
Now, I say that, but of course they're still very generous. Actually, for the very best academic students, they're still very generous. But we have partners that take hundreds of students per year. University of the Pacific guarantees discounts to top performing students of about 20 to 25%. It is exceptional, and because the price is already low, it's a great experience, a great campus, a great location, plus a significant award of scholarship to students who qualify.
Great. And also, like as I think you studied in US, and I think you're from Boston University, right? And like what skills student need to build if they want to study in USA, specifically in terms of India, because maybe you work with a lots of students, maybe you are hiring lots of students, maybe you have seen students. Like what skill US University looking in international students for you?
That's a great question. And the great news is Shorelight students have access to special courses that help prepare students for the American academic experience. So critical thinking skills,
Okay.
working in pairs and partnerships and participating, speaking in class, participating in the classroom, making individual connections with faculty and their professors, even at the largest school at Shorelight, having those opportunities to meet with faculty, I think are sort of a starting point. We have a special course that we offer for students to help assist them in the American classroom experience. So I think it's really important, and we certainly will help students with that.
Wow, I think students, if you're planning for abroad education, these are the amazing skill you need to develop in yourself. And if you are planning to study in USA, because critical thinking is the crucial skill nowadays, and most of all the universities and the companies are looking at that skill. Now, if we talk about the employment, right? Now, you are hiring lots of people from the industries, and maybe you are hiring fresh graduates, right? What skills you are looking in those candidate, because you are looking at the GPA, or maybe you are looking at the skill, or maybe you are looking at experience.
Yeah. I have two pieces of advice for students, and these are my two strongest pieces of advice. One, if you are among the many, many thousands of students applying to the same program as everyone else, you're missing an opportunity. If you're going to go and study computer science or business analytics, okay. But there are literally, at every one of our partners, 85 other degree programs at the graduate level you could go into. I'll come back to that in a second. And two, geographic. If you go to the same destination as everyone else, you're missing an opportunity. We have in the middle of the country thousands of unfulfilled jobs, especially in technical areas where people need support. And so, of course, everyone wants to live in New York and California. But if you want a job and you want to be well paid, go into an area that's a little bit different than everyone else, and go into a geography, into a state, into a city that's a little bit different. We find these degree programs that are shockingly interesting, like drone technology, and we have so few students applying for them, despite the fact that those students get immediately hired out of those programs. So I think when you look at a university, you shouldn't be looking for what's their top ranked program. No one will care. When you're 50 years old, no one will care. You're going to care about, well, what was my career? How did I support my family? And to get there, you need to think about a career in a space that maybe you're not familiar with. It's a lot of research that's required to pick a degree program, and to think about like going to Kansas, right? Or going to Nebraska, going to parts of the country where they're desperate for smart, young Indian workers to come in, and they can't even find Americans to fulfill those jobs.
Wow, that's an amazing piece of advice, students and parents, because Basil is a co-founder of Shorelight, and he worked with lots of people. I think this is an amazing insight. You need to check the geography. Like you can go to some state which are not crowded or maybe not fun with the Indian students. I think this is amazing information. If you want to know more about US, comment US into chat box and they will provide you entire detail. Now, there is a misconception in India, or you can say about the Make in India, that US is shutting down the door for international students. What is the fact behind that?
Yeah. So during the Biden presidency, we saw some challenges with India visa appointments, Indian students getting visa appointments, and certainly we saw with some of our students a real challenge in getting the visa. We're optimistic. During Trump's first presidency, we saw better visa outcomes for Indian students. So even for this spring, we still had the Biden policy. So I'm optimistic that that with Trump we will see better visa success.
But that's a good news for all the students.
I think so, and I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I'm really.
You all are hopeful for that.
We are all are hopeful, and what's most important is that students are authentic and they follow the preparation that we both provide to help them be successful in the visa interview.
Well, yeah. In the visa interview, I just want to comment on that because it's so critical. What I tell students when I counsel them is fall in love with the degree program that you want to go into.
Okay.
And if you're one of 800 students that just met the consulars all over this, and they've asked you, why do you want to study this? And you're like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, you're going to get denied. That's why picking the right program that has something interesting into it, kind of digging into it and feeling like, oh, I get what makes this special. To use the word Pamela just used, it makes you authentic. They can see that you love it and that you want it. No one's in love with analytics. They just want an easy peasy for. Yeah, what they're in love with is a specific idea of I'm going to do something with analytics. Well, then pursue that. Pursue the specific thing, not just sort of the general concept. We have lines of students, and if you ask them, what do you want to study? Analytics, computer science, analytics. And at some point, you're like, for what? It has to be that you have an application in mind. If you came in and said, I want to look at analytics and I'm going to make up a crazy area in veterinary science, they're working with animals. Okay, no one has ever said that to the consular office. Now you've got two passions, analytics and helping animals. So, yeah, I think that application, getting your unique voice across is really part of what gets that visa rate higher.
Great. I think this is a great piece of advice for all the students who are planning for fall 2025 intake. You need to be very diverse and you need to give them a real answer, like why you would like to go USA, why this program, and with the unique way, as Basil said. If you want more information about US visa, comment US visa into chat box and we will provide you entire detail. Now, currently I talk with lots of parents and students and they are always telling me, I would like to send my kid to Ivy League. Means they are telling me that if I am sending my student to Ivy League or maybe my kids to Ivy League, they will earn in millions of dollars. And if they will go to any community college or any private college or maybe any other college, their survival chance is very less. What is the fact? What is the truth behind it? Because you both are from US and maybe you work in the industries for a long time. Have you seen any kind of discrepancy or any kind of differences like from the Ivy League and the other university?
It's a really interesting question. Neither of us graduated from an Ivy League school prior to our career experience in private and public and university sector. While it's outstanding for those few students who are admitted to Ivy Leagues, all international students who come to the U.S., again, it's about making connections. So some of my first career, for example, is because of a connection I made with a faculty member. It was able to help me get introduction. So I think part of the experience studying in the U.S. is what you make of it and the connections you make. You could be at a low-ranked school and have an interesting faculty member. You could be at a school that's very in a small town, and you might be able to have a better internship experience being in a sort of small pond, right? Shall we say? So I know we hire staff all of the time that come from a variety of backgrounds. And what's really interesting is the experience you've had, the academic experience you've had, the work experience you've had, and what you can offer. And I see degree as being less important, or the university you attended is, I think the best fit for the international student is what allows them to be successful in both their academic success and career success because they're happy at their school.
Wow, that's a great piece of advice for all the students who are thinking that I would like to send my kids to Ivy League and not the normal university. There is no difference in the long term. At the end, your skills matters a lot, right?
Well, I think learning to become a leader happens anywhere. And here's a specific example, but it's a school in our portfolio actually. Auburn University.
Yes.
You probably know a small company, Apple, right? And
They're not a small.
yeah, their CEO Tim Cook. Yeah, well, he graduated from Auburn University, and you'll find that story repeated over and over and over in the U.S. In the end, what makes you successful is the name of the degree, and it's not where you came from. It's that you had some innate leadership skill that was pulled out by someone you worked with. You get that leadership, innovation, entrepreneurship. You get that sense of what it means to be successful in America. Well, come to America to find out. And the places where you're going to find that are everywhere.
Everywhere, yes. That's a great. I think this podcast is going great. We are getting lots and lots of insight about US and how to become successful students or what are the skills acquired. The question I have for you, Basil, is what is the difference between private university and public university? Because parents and students are getting confused most of all the time. And I don't know where they are getting this information that private is better or maybe a state university is better or public university is better. Like what the actual difference? If you can give a certain insight on that.
Well, I think we're going to have to both respond to this one.
Yes.
We have different experiences in this sector. So I'll start by saying the difference between private and public is confusing.
Yes.
But in the end, you're really pursuing a degree program, and the actual institution matters less, especially at the graduate level, than what degree program you go into. I encourage students to think about the school, and I mean inside, so the college inside at the university. So the College of Business at University of the Pacific or at South Carolina University. I think those specific colleges have their own strengths, their own awards, their own reasons for being famous. I think students should look at that level. Because when you pull out and you start saying, well, like, here's my school. I don't know anything about that school. I don't, it's filled with 14 different colleges,
Yes.
Hundreds of faculty members. I think they have a brand at that level when you abstract enough. But the reality is what people are going to care about at the employment level is show me what you learned. Show me the specific degree program. So if I want to go to the US and I want to get a degree program, I'm not shopping for universities. So I don't really care about the distinction between public and private. What I care about is this degree attract to career success and self-fulfillment?
Yes.
I agree with that. You'll find a variety of rankings, a variety of sizes, and a variety of degree offerings, whether it's public or private. While a public school has a particular mandate to serve some students who live in that state or local area, you'll find that at private schools, many students also attend from the state or local area. So I completely agree with Basil. And choosing the best option for you and the best program is really the best fit is really what's most important to it.
And I know, Basil, you're working with the top, lots of top leaders in the multinational companies, and you are maybe talking with them. What will be the future of technology? Like what after like 5 years, maybe the machine learning and AI, ChatGPT maybe take over the programming part or something. All are wondering like if they want to send their kids to some niche program or maybe a education, maybe a job-centered program. What your advice to all the students and parents, like what program they can select in USA?
Well, so a little bit of background. I did my PhD in philosophy,
Philosophy.
and then I did a master's of fine arts in poetry. And I don't regret those things, but I don't think they helped my career at all. Now, on the other hand, at some point in my adult life, I learned to code. And I actually spend a fair bit of time, maybe 6 or 7 hours a week, coding and building programs that our company actively uses. I'm our chief innovation officer, in addition to being the co-founder. And so I use ChatGPT all the time. And I'm going to give you my personal response to this, which is the world is desperately going to need people to take components and pull them together. It's true, you probably won't need to worry about the details as much as you used to. The low-level coding, I think these LLMs are going to largely take care of that. But anyone who actually codes for a living, anyone who builds things in technology is going to quickly realize, okay, I can get the small level stuff, but to build a system to think about the system, to pull the different pieces together. These are disparate pieces that need interfacing. Well, we need people to make those interfaces. We use a ton of technology. And in fact, I think in our space, we're pretty famous for being very on the cutting edge of analytics, data, and technology. We're the leaders. But even for us to use technology requires months and months of integration and bringing different people and outside companies in together. The skills that let you pull all of those systems into a unified whole, you need smart people for that. So I wouldn't say walk away from computer science, but I would think about systems engineering as being a distinct skill set that isn't going to go away, and in fact becomes even more important.
No. Okay. Apart from STEM, apart from like computer science, what your recommendation? What you see the world is looking at the different way? What other degree world is seeking right now apart from the computer science?
I'll start, but I think finance is going to become back again. Yeah, finance was going away for a little bit. You may have seen, I can't remember if it was the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times, but there was this big article on Harvard MBAs, are not getting a job anymore. The idea that there's of a business generalist is out of favor, and I don't think it's coming back. But I think understanding the role of finance in the future, especially Bitcoin continues to get acceptance, understanding the role of technology and how artificial intelligence plays across all of this, I think entrepreneurship, finance, leadership, I think it's a good time to be a co-founder right now, meaning to start
Something. Yeah.
yeah, and not just on the technology side, but think of an industry. Well, every industry you can imagine is going to be so totally changed. Manufacturing, totally changed. I don't care if you're making leather handbags. It's going to be changed. The supply chains are going to be changed. Production is going to be changed. Marketing is going to be changed. That all needs brilliant young people to figure out how to implement those changes. I can tell you now, I'm getting too old to know what to do. I mean, I'm not retired yet, but I think we're approaching the point where the future is in the hands of the youth. I mean, they're the ones who have to take on this mandate of AI and implement it. And the rest of us, by the time that gets normalized, I think we're at the end of our careers. So if I were young, I would be very excited. I think this is a great time to come in and innovate.
Yeah, that's a great point about the jobs of the future. While we see a lot of interest in game design and urban planning and some degrees like that, I really think predicting the jobs of the future, and I think you've well predicted the skills for the future.
Right. But currently in India, we have lots of students who are doing a 3-year degree, like 15 year of education in Bachelor of Commerce, Bachelor of Business Administration. Like what advice you can give to those students who would like to come to US and what skill they want, which degree they can pursue in US?
Now, that's a great question. I think those degrees are translatable to a lot of different choices in the U.S. I think you can combine, especially if you have 3 years of business experience, you can combine that with anything and have a passion, right? And if you're interested in founding a company that does a game design, for example, you might combine it with game design. You have the business background, or if you're interested in politics, or really anything. I think there's a lot of choices.
Choice. Yeah.
Well, I think as someone who studied poetry and not business, but yeah, I can tell you that I'm going to generalize too much. Forgive me. In the end, when we hire, Pamela is responsible for a broad range of, she leads human resources among many other things. We hire hundreds of people around the world. And speaking from personal experience, what we care about is someone who has the guts to come in and lead and figure things out. And just ambition plus intelligence. I don't care if your degree is 3 years. I don't care if you studied in business administration. Show me on paper that you're a real person who wants to succeed, and I've got a job for you. I think most people feel that way. Now, it's hard to find those ambitious people, right? Because everyone kind of gets into the same cattle car. Yeah, we want people who are unique individuals, and we'll give you the tools you need. We'll train you up. We'll help you develop your skills along the way. You show us you have that spark as well.
Okay, yeah, great piece of advice for all the new youth and all the new students who may be graduating in USA, or maybe you already graduated in USA and maybe in India as well. Because I think company is looking as you said, the spark and the leadership. They want someone to take a leadership and solve the bigger problem. And degree at the end is not that much of effective if you have a good skill, right?
I think the degree helps you get qualified.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you want to go into, what I said earlier, you want to go into an area where it's not crowded and where there's real opportunity. And I don't know if that's designing, industrial vacuums. It could be anything.
Yeah,
find something that helps you get into a specific sector, but then have that spark. Yeah, you put those two things together, I think you're going to be successful. I've never met anyone who didn't have that spark. Yeah, who wasn't successful.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. Now the question is like, maybe you are dealing with lots of international students, Pamela. Currently, we have seen lots of thing going in India because of the US visa rejections, and I know we are not the expert on that. But you just give me a couple of advice, like what top 3 mistakes students are doing when they are going for the US student visa interview, and what top 3 mistake they are doing when they are preparing for the US student visa interview.
Yeah, that's a great question. The preparation for the visa interview is so important, not to memorize answers or to listen to other answers that have worked before, but the preparation to really understand the degree program, to really understand what you're going to study, who your professors will be, the city you're studying in or the town, and why that matters to you. That's really the most important. Students might make a mistake not understanding why they're going, not being able to explain. Everyone gets nervous in a visa interview. I get nervous in a visa interview. But really being able to articulate your experience. And no one expects that you know what your dream job will be or have that idea yet, but really understanding why you've chosen this location, what you will be studying is really so important to students. I mean, there are many mistakes made, but most often mistake made is memorization or a response that isn't your own.
Wow. Wow. I think this is a great piece of advice. I think these are the things you need to take care when you are going for the US student visa interview. And what things student like they have to aware about it. What things they don't have to do while they are going for the US visa interview, because sometimes students are not prepared well, maybe not dressed well, maybe they are not carrying the documents. Like what things they don't have to do while they are going for the visa interview.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's always important to have your documents prepared and to be ready if you're asked to provide more details about student funding or your loan provider or which family members might be contributing to your education. And while you should always be neat and professional, remember the consular officer, although they are in a position of power, they are more your peer. So it might not be necessary to address them as sir or ma'am. You may just interact with them a bit more casually. Sometimes they're looking for students who make eye contact. Americans make a lot of eye contact, and many of the counselors are looking for that eye contact and a very authentic answer. So maybe you take a moment to think. It's always okay to pause if you're asked a question, collect your thoughts, and answer with making great eye contact and very authentically.
Okay, so I have a question on that, because we just all the students we are counseling also students for US visa interview, and they just ask us like, can we take a pause in visa interview? Like if we take a pause, then they will feel that we are remembering something, we don't know the answer. Is it true, or student can take a pause and then give the answer?
It's okay. Remember, the visa interview, as you know, is very short. It's maybe 15 minutes long. So it wouldn't take a very long time.
Yeah, is a
But particularly from a student who might be from outside of India, or English is not their first language, or their English level might be lower. It's very common to be thoughtful and thinking, or ask for a question to be repeated. If you want time to collect your thoughts, say, could you please repeat the question? That was a good question. Could you please say it again?
Well,
And that's very okay.
okay, I think you got the really good answer. Like if you don't understand the question, you can ask them again with the very soft and the gentle way, as Pamela said. You would like to add something?
The only thing I'd add is, if someone were to ask you, why do you want to study psychology? And let's say I'm a student who wants to study psychology. I would probably have to take a second to think about that. But I wouldn't repeat back something done. I might even say something like, oh, wow, that's a really good question. There's so many reasons. I've been thinking about it for a long time. This is my number one response to that. But there are other reasons as well. You can feel out really quickly if someone cares about something or if they're giving you a canned response. And so it's both authentic, but authentic also includes thinking, reflecting, right? Awkward silence is just part of human conversations. I don't think that's an issue. I think when they look and they hear you come back with, this is my answer. I think complicated questions typically have more than one answer. and they typically have complicated answers, right?
Yes.
And it's okay to sort of layer in components to that. Again, you're trying to pass a test of, are you a real person who's going for the right reasons, and you understand those reasons. So if I say to you, well, where's this college? And you look at me, I have no idea where I get. Well, you definitely are inauthentic because you don't even know where this college is. I think you can get tripped up on those basic things, right? Know where the college is. Know when it was founded. Know what makes them famous. Know a couple of famous alumni. These are not difficult things to research. It requires a little bit of preparation. And as I said earlier, fall in love with your degree program. Be the kind of person who's like, I can't wait to study this, and here's why. Be evangelical. Tell other people before you go to the meeting. Tell 15 people, here's why I'm pursuing this. Because at some point, it'll start being meaningful for you, and it'll make the interview that much easier.
Wow. That's a great piece of advice. I think students, I think in this fall, you will definitely crack the visa interview, because the information which I got from this great people is definitely change your life for the sure. And the way you are preparing maybe change the way, because you are preparing maybe a mugged up answer or maybe something else. I think that insight will help you to change your answer for why US, why this course. And I think this is a great piece of advice. You need to follow for this kind of advice, and please comment US into chat box and we will provide you entire details. Now, the question I have, lots of international students, after going to US, they are changing the university. And we have seen that it's a big chaos for university, for us as well. And students don't know what is the intensity of this change of university. Like whether it's going to backfire them, whether it's going to create some kind of issue in their future life, and maybe they are not responsible. Like, what's your take on that? Because I would like to give a message to all the students who are thinking to change a university after landing USA. It's not a good idea, and it's not a good step to do it unless and until there is some reason behind it. Can you give what what will be what is going to happen, or how it's going to fire back them in future?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the best way to come to the US is to choose the school you want to go to, apply, get the I-20, apply for the visa, and know why you want to go to that school. When you get to that school, you will love it. If in the rare circumstance where you do not love it, of course, there are choices for you.
Yes.
But planning to transfer in advance, often the visa counselor realizes that. You may also arrive at the U.S. airport and have a flight ticket to another city. They may discover that, and that would look like you weren't planning to attend that university. So all of those things could definitely backfire. It's very challenging to transfer out in the USA. You lose some time. You may lose the opportunity to fully take all of the courses you wish to take. You may not be able to find the housing. Of course, I know sometimes students have family or friends who influence them. I always encourage students to really stick with the first program they come into, stick with that school. Everybody has adjustment. Even as an American student going to an American college, I wasn't sure for a few days or a few weeks, but find your people, find your way and your footing, and really try to give it a chance. You chose that school for a reason. And I always recommend that, but it certainly it does not look good if you are transferring immediately, transferring without arrival, flying to a different city. And in these times where things may be a little different now, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yes. I think student, you need to be aware about it. Your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are a little harsher.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
I'm going to give unsolicited life advice
No, that's true.
to a young
What the
person.
students and parents want that.
How many opportunities do you have to go to college? Pick your college not because it was the cheapest thing you could do. You're going to spend so much time regretting that you went down a path of going to a transfer school because it was the cheapest possible thing. This is your life. These are hard decisions about where to go. They have consequences. It costs a lot to study in the US. It's incredible. To make a decision based on what is the lowest price, the easiest thing to do, because someone has tricked you into going to one of these terrible transfer schools.
Yes.
And so there's not just the view of, make decisions that are good for you. You might not realize that if we look at your application, we see you went to one of these schools, we're never going to employ you because it immediately looks like you got tricked into going into a terrible school. You would never, on paper, choose that school directly. You would never. These schools are notorious. They're bad actors. They have bad degree programs. There are thousands of students attending them. You don't have to go to class. You barely have to show up at all. Well, you're not going to get a job. You're not going to have a career out of it. Your degree is going to be worthless if you are even allowed to stay in the country. Whoever has given you that advice has done you an enormous harm. It doesn't mean you have to go to a Shorelight school. It doesn't mean you have to go to an expensive school. It means you have to be thoughtful because it's your love. Pick something that's going to have a lasting impact and make a sacrifice to get there. Right? It's the strongest advice I can give to all more.
Yes, I think the parents, you need to listen this reel again and again. Maybe you can save it, and if you don't understand, call me or message me. I will tell you and translate it for you because he has given amazing message to all the people who are transferring out and what are the malpractices happening in USA and how the student got tricked. Okay, the question, the another thing in India, in Indian people, in Indian youth, they know that they are targeting only few cities or few states, and there is a mindset. The East and West is very popular for tech, and West is very popular because California is the destination, and you will get the job easily. In New York, New Jersey, and Massachusetts, you will get the job easy. In Texas, you can get the job easily. Like, what is a fact? Because there is a plenty of opportunity available in entire US, right? And the student are coming with this mindset and niche that I will get the job if I can go to this state. Is it correct? Or now people need to think on different way, or maybe students' perception need to change.
Yeah, it's interesting because I would think so. Right now at Shorelight, graduates of our programs, most of them who found a career opportunity in tech are in Utah,
Oh, okay.
for example. And many of our students who found career opportunities are in Ohio or states that, unlike Illinois, that might be very popular, or states and schools on the East Coast and West Coast. To Basil's point, there are needs for their employment needs and gaps that international workers and students can help fill in lots of other states and locations.
Yeah. Well, it's so common now. If you look at LinkedIn, you'll see this. Or if you're on Reddit, you do a little bit of research. You'll see that there's a job posting, and 1,800 people apply, and it's on a West Coast or an East Coast, and only one person get the job. The reality is, those are popular destinations. The very best and brightest people go to those destinations. There are far fewer jobs available than there used to be in tech in those locations. And in the rest of the country, West Virginia, Utah, Tennessee, Alabama, they are desperate for smart young people. And those locations have their own benefits, their own reasons for being there, their own great programs and great schools. We try to tell students, you need to diversify. Think like a portfolio. Diversify your options. If you're going to California, you're competing against 100,000 other people and Americans, and not just other international students or Indians. You're competing with everybody, the entire world. Yeah, why would you do that? Find your path where people want you to be there, and that is the majority of America. We need you to come. We need your skill set. We need your youth and your ambition and your ability to grow. And we will create the opportunities for you. But you have to put in a little bit of work too. You have to live somewhere where it's not already crowded. Help build a town. Help build a city. Help a state find its technology future. Invest in that. Now, again, it's hard to do that research, but I think if you actually just spend a day on it, I think you'll pretty quickly find that the vast majority of America is ready for you.
Yeah, and it's very easy nowadays to get the information because everything is available online, website, ChatGPT, AI can pull data very easily. Now, another question I have is like, what is the future of biotechnology, or what is the future of civil engineering? And like, these are the courses students are pursuing US and nowadays, and maybe they are more interested from the India students are showing interest in these courses. What do you say about it? Like, what will be the future of this course?
It's a great question. I think if there are employment opportunities back in India and for international students in these programs and degrees, and they're still great choices. There certainly is, biotechnology community in cities in Boston as well. Cities in Boston. In Boston, where Shorelight's headquartered, and of course across the U.S. So I think what's most important is identifying career opportunities. International students mostly will be returning to their home country. So I think that also could influence people's decision in studying.
Wow. Okay. Now, great point. Yeah. Also, I would like to ask one more question. Is like, international students are coming to US, and they are getting confused. Like they can focus on education or they can focus on money, because students are coming from maybe middle class background or maybe a lower background, and they are making lots of mistake in USA. What advice you can give to those students, because money will be the priority or maybe the education is the priority?
What a great question. Here's my answer, and take it for what it's worth. I've never met someone who was very successful who wasn't passionate about something. And they're usually passionate about something very specific, and it led them down path. If you ask successful people, how did you get to where you are? It's almost never, well, I went to study this thing, I got a job doing that thing, and now I'm successful because of that thing. It's usually a long, winding path. I mean, and you kind of go from one thing to the next, you kind of find your way. But at some point, usually, you meet somebody who sparks something. There's an interest, and it unlocks something you hadn't thought about that way before. If you pursue the money only, it's short-sighted. I would pursue your passion first, and the money will follow. I think that's good advice, because in the end, if the money doesn't follow, you still have your passion, you still have the people you met, you still have a life, you can still be fulfilled. So it doesn't guarantee that you're going to be rich, but it increases the likelihood you'll be happy. I think if you go in the other direction, boys, there's a strong likelihood that you'll strike out to be rich. And the reality is you're going to be both not rich and not happy if you're not careful. So passion first.
Well, I think that's right. I think it's also interesting. I mean, for graduate students, there are fewer opportunities maybe to take courses outside of your area of study. But for an undergraduate student, thinking about a minor, it's like almost like plan B, right? Like fallback. So perhaps you chase a business degree and your minor is something else. That might be also another opportunity for students to pursue a passion and to have more options.
Such a good point, because domestic students in the U.S. actually change majors all the time.
Yes.
It's so common. I mean, the average student's going to do 4.5 majors over the course of 4 years. They're going to change. And students 3 years in might switch schools, and they don't think anything about it, because the education system is designed to be 2 years of general education first. Because I don't know about you, but when I was 18, I didn't know what I wanted to be. Well,
same here.
I wanted to study Indian music, as a young person. Yeah, Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma.
Or the senator. Yes.
I was obsessed with his music, and I thought, I'm going to be an ethnomusicologist. Well, I'm an idiot. You have to spend a lifetime studying those things, And so I changed my major. I went from ethnomusicology into something else, and I changed it again. I think Americans naturally feel like they have the freedom to pursue these things and to find their way. And I think international students tend to think, this is a life or death decision. I've got to come in right now. But the undergraduate level in particular, no. We partner with schools that are not just comfortable, they want you to explore and find yourself, and they provide extraordinary counseling services for you to find that way forward. And if it takes a little longer and you change degrees a few times, you've enriched your life and you've given yourself more opportunities. There's no harm.
Great. And what are the common 3 mistakes students are doing after reaching to on campus? Like, what are the things they are doing after reaching to on campus, or maybe what mistake they are doing while studying in USA, specifically international students, or specifically from the student from India?
Yeah, well, Indian students who transfer out, I think, are often making a mistake.
Yes, there's a possibility.
I must say that again. I really think that it's important to settle in, take advantage of all of the support services, and to really start to meet people and start to understand this university you chose for a reason. I think sometimes students from India are, sometimes maybe they'll spend time with other students from India,
Yes.
And perhaps not take advantage of opportunities to make friends from other countries or American friends. So I think there are opportunities for that. Americans are really excited to meet students from India at campuses. And a lot of the schools we work with, there is not a big percentage of students from India. You are unique. You have something to offer the student environment and student experience. Please share it, not only with the folks from India as well. I think those are 2 of the mistakes. I think perhaps not participating in in activities. It's more than just being in your books, being, kind of focused on getting the top grades in your book. So much of the American experience at the graduate degree and at the undergraduate degree are meeting faculty, introducing yourself, and standing out. So saying, hello, I'm Pamela. I'm in your class. I'm enjoying your class. Even if the class has 100 people in it, really trying to make a personal connection and finding someone who might inspire you and motivate you later on.
Wow, there's an amazing piece of advice students you are getting from Pamela, because these are the top three mistakes students are doing when they are pursuing their degree in USA. I think you can avoid it, and you need to be very flexible. You need to go in community. You need to talk to lots of people, or maybe American, and just get acquainted with the atmosphere and the how they are working and how they are networking in USA. Now, the concern all the parents having about jobs and security, like currently US, the tech jobs are very less, then the maybe pharmaceutical jobs are less, and the US having a job crisis, and lots of things is going on India right now, and is because of the media we are looking at. What is that actual fact, because you are in US, and maybe you have seen this kind of trend right now, because there is lots of unemployment is there in the international students.
That's a great question. I think it's a little bit of an optical illusion. Right now, if you look at the U.S. economy, let me rephrase that. I said right now. How about for 60 years? Think of an economy that's ever been better. Every time there's a crisis anywhere, what's the first thing someone does if they have a lot of money? They push it all around to the U.S. because it's the safe harbor, right? It's the stock market, the economy overall. Every year you look and you think, oh, well, it can't keep sustaining at this level. Okay, well, I've been waiting 40 years. We're a powerhouse. We're a different kind of country. We're a different destination. We're not friends, right? We have a way about being entrepreneurial as a country, but also of inviting the smartest, brightest around the world and investment around the world. If you want to be successful, you go. Now, I know that in other countries, they're successful people. They have their own way, of course, but we have our special brand. We have our special way of being entrepreneurial. So when I look at the economy, I don't see, well, there's unemployment. Actually, job growth is great right now. The economy is great right now. And in fact, that's why interest rates are going to stay high for a little bit, because, we don't want to overheat the economy. On the other hand, and to your point, there is a problem with unemployment in certain technology fields because the market is saturated with too many people who got the same degree. If you come to the US and you're the 58,000th person to get a computer science degree with no job plan, you're not going to somehow figure it out. That's why open the book, look at the university, go through every graduate program in there, and you will find in the technology space 50 things you've never even thought about before. Figure it out. Take the time to explore those different options.
Otherwise, it that different options. Can you give me the 5 different options they can explore?
Systems engineering, drone technology, technology for agriculture, library science technology.
Wow.
There are so many ways in which the future of AI, and even coming off of AI, just the future of machine learning, hasn't penetrated all of the fields, all of the industries. Half of them are being left behind. Someone has to come in and be the representative for, here's my company, here's what we do. It's not high tech, but we're going to use technology. So if I'm a young Indian student, I'm going to the US, the combination of tech on the one side, but a specific application on the other in an industry that doesn't have enough tech in it, guaranteed employment. Guaranteed you are future-proofing yourself by finding that intersection between industry and application and computer science on the other side. In the abstract, computer science and analytics by themselves, they're just not compelling enough.
Wow, that's a great insight. I think this is a great podcast is going on, and we have shared lots and lots of information. Thank you so much for your time and everything.
Yeah.
There are lots of questions I have in my mind, but I like, because I'm sitting with co-founder, is a little bit giving me uncomfortable. And okay, I would like to ask you a question about your journey, like how how person can become a successful, and what is a life of co-founder?
I'm so unqualified to be a co-founder.
Okay.
What I can tell you is I spent a lot of time thinking about people who have skills that are different than mine. I'm not great with finance. I'm not great with people management or human resources areas. I'm not great with a lot of things. which is part of the reason after my co-founder and I came together, the first person we said we wanted to hire was Pamela, because she's the best in the business and knows how to operate and do things that we didn't and don't. I think you build teams, and building a team starts with having enough humility to say, here's what I don't know how to do. Uh, I talk as if, and I've said in response to some of your questions, you need leadership and innovation. But in addition to being a leader, innovative, and entrepreneurial, you need to have enough humility to say, I can't do all of that. I have to find the team that can pull it together. And then they help you find out the other people along the way. I don't know how many hundreds of people Pamela's brought into the company, but we're successful as an organization because of the culture she and other people have built. And it's been a privilege and a pleasure to be part of it.
And what the top three advice you can give to a startup founder to succeed, to become a successful, or maybe to create a multi-million-dollar company?
Well, I'll ask Pamela to respond to that.
Wow. Well, I think having a great idea, having a unique idea is one. I think solving a problem and being able to articulate the problem you're solving. And I really think being authentic. Part of Shorelight's journey is, while there are many competitors or others in our space, we understood U.S. higher education. We were experts in U.S. higher education. Well, there are many companies that might be located in other countries or other continents who are working in the United States. We uniquely understood it. And I think that authenticity, which I know we've hit on a few times, are three of the success.
Wow. And
well, it's what students in Shorelight has in common, right? When on both sides of it, be passionate, solve a real problem. And if you take that same, it's almost like, say, well, take the co-founder mentality into the visa preparation, right? Be someone, I have a specific problem I want to solve. Here's how I'm getting to it. I'm taking this degree in this city.
Yes, no, that's the right way. Yeah. I think you have connected the dots about the different students are like how they can give the answer for the US student visa interview. You have shown them a different perspective because they want to become maybe a co-founder in the different city, and like, this is a problem I would like to solve. I think this is a great piece of advice we are getting from you. Thank you so much for joining on this podcast. And
Very much.
yes, and in the last, why you want to see this podcast? It is for all the students who would like to go US. This is for the parents who would like to send their kids to US for the abroad education. Trump 2.0, the student might get problem. No, it's not fact. In Trump 2.0, student will not get the job. It's not a fact. We have discussed lots and lots of topic in this podcast about the US student visa interview. What are the things students need to take care when they are traveling to USA? What will be the future job technology? What are the skills students are required? And lots of information. This is the must watch podcast for all the students and parents. And just keep subscribing it because we are producing content, ethical content for the students and parents. Thank you so much.